Hello guys, Chris here, welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm going to be testing a GeForce RTX 3060 12GB model in Starfield. Once again, my friends, because this time it's been fixed supposedly. It performs better, it has DLSS support, and we're going to take a look at it with optimized settings as well. So this is the Afox model of the card, and as usual, I am running it with the latest Nvidia drivers and not manually overclocking it. You can see all of its specs here in Tech PowerUp's GPU-Z. If you don't have the 12GB model and you have the 8GB model instead, it's going to be substantially slower. And over here you can see that the resizable bar is also enabled. Over on the left, we're pairing it with the i5-13600K to avoid CPU bottlenecks. This is overclocked to 5.5 GHz, and we're using 32 GB of 6000 MHz DDR5 RAM in dual channel. Let's get into it, shall we? Let's go over the settings first. I'm starting at 1080p resolution, and I am using the optimized settings. As I told you, these are the optimized settings from Digital Foundry, and we're not using DLSS at the moment. It's grayed out because upscaling is turned off. This is native resolution first. Alrighty, here we go. Let's start counting our FPS here. We're starting in Atlantis City, which is one of the most intensive parts in the entire game, of course, and it is dropping into the 40s and 50s still, even with optimized settings. I mean, it's to be expected at this point. We all know that Starfield runs like crap, basically, right? But hey, it's good that it's still above 30 FPS, well above it actually, and that means that probably when we enable some DLSS, it will stay above 60 FPS. I really hope it does, alright? I remember that FSR, for example, is enabled from the presets, by the way. If you set it to low settings or medium settings preset, it actually sets FSR2 to 50% scaling, alright? But now we got the performance, balanced, and quality modes back, so that's good actually. The frame time graph is very smooth actually. 1% lows are in the 40s because we've been to the other area that was very intensive, of course. It doesn't really stutter, which is good. This game actually never really stuttered. That was actually the one thing that I praised this game for, because up until the release of Starfield, every game in 2023 had been stuttering, and this one, well, it isn't. But the performance is very, very low compared to other titles as well, and it still looks very rough. Oh, interesting. Whenever you set it to FSR, it actually does not show you the preset right here. It's still using the resolution scaling up here to play around with that. So on low settings, it would be 50%, which means performance FSR. Now, let's go with DLSS. All right, and apparently I can still... Yep, there we go. So this actually changes the little render resolution stuff. Ooh, ultra performance shows 33%, which is not possible to utilize with FSR. Interesting. But let's go ahead and set it to quality, which means 67%. I wonder if I can still adjust it. Yes, I can, but I don't want to. So quality DLSS right now is what we're utilizing with 69% sharpness. And I'm also going to enable reflex here because it reduces input lag a little bit, and that's great whenever you are GPU bound. And we are fully GPU bound, of course. So now we get like 10 more frames per second. So this is still not enough to achieve 60 plus FPS all of the time, at least in this little area right here. I'm gonna go to another area a little bit later, guys. This is looking weird. Like, look at that. It has a ton of little dots there. I don't think that was there at native resolution. Ugh, okay. Feels way smoother in these areas that aren't really as intensive, but of course you already know that it will actually drop from 60 FPS still. I don't like to see that, but hey, at least DLSS does look pretty good in this game. I think it did look a little bit better. Maybe it's because I'm playing at 1080p still. I'm gonna talk about like the visuals and stuff when we get to 1440p and 4K, because I am using a 4K monitor right here, so I can't really tell much on the visual side of things. So it drops down into like the 50s sometimes. I think this is actually an acceptable experience, guys. If it only drops into like the mid-50s on worst-case scenarios, and I mean, we're not really shooting anybody right here, of course, although we need to find Bob, by the way. But yeah, overall, you should probably not mind below 60 FPS that much in a game like this. It's single-player anyways, and it's only gonna drop like in Atlantis City right here and a few other areas in the map. And whenever you get out of this city, like I'm gonna do right now, as you can see, you do get those 60 plus all of the time. It's way less intensive in maps that, or planet, actually, not maps. In planets that don't really have as much detail and big cities and stuff like that. All right, but this is it for DLSS. I would actually choose to play with DLSS instead of native resolution. I don't really mind that little noise too much, and I guess if you adjust the sharpening a little bit, it would be gone. I'm just gonna set it to upscaling off right now and see the FPS in this part of the game without DLSS. So it's actually dropping into the 60s very often here. It's getting around the same FPS as DLSS quality, I think, in the city area, Atlantis City. So yeah, you can expect some drops from 60 frames per second here and there, especially if I moved along in this area. Of course, inside of here, it would get us even more FPS, but outside, when I get up there, there are some enemies, and it would actually drop a little bit. What the hell was that? Oh, hello there. Okay. All right, let's move up to 2560 by 1440 resolution, native. All right, upscaling is turned off at the moment, still using the same optimized settings. And if you're wondering, I am able to change the resolution only in the desktop. I actually need to change the resolution in Windows for it to change inside of the game, and then I restart the game, of course, because this game doesn't really have a full screen mode, only borderless full screen. Anyways, as you can see, 1440p is way more intensive than 1080p is in this game. And running around here, it might even drop from 30 FPS. I'm not sure, guys. Look at that. 32. Oh boy. 33. This is a very intensive area right here, actually. Should we start killing some people as well? Maybe with DLSS. Or no, maybe now. Why not, right? Let's see if it actually drops. How are you not dead? Are you kidding me? This weapon sucks. Oh, hello. Okay, no, we don't care about that. Let's go. Alrighty. Oh boy. Okay, so this is very difficult, especially because they take 2 magazines to die. But at least they're not really looking at us, so that's fine. Okay, that's a big robot there. As you can see, even with all of this going on and shooting people and stuff and robots, it doesn't really drop our FPS by a lot, which is nice. Press 0 to use a med pack. Why 0, by the way? It's so far away in the keyboard. Okay, over here, it's usually very, very intensive as well. And it's dropping down into the lower 30s, mid-30s most of the time. You know what? It's a little bit better than what I expected, especially with all of these people shooting at us. Now, let's enable DLSS on quality first. I'm also going to use, like, balanced in just a little bit. All right, there we go. Okay. And it's interesting. Oh, my God, what the hell just happened? I died, but why like this? That's so weird. Look at that. We can achieve 60 FPS at times. That's pretty nice. That means that in the other planets, it will probably get to 60 FPS or close to it. So it's going to be a smoother experience, obviously. But yeah, over here you can definitely see. I'm not sure if YouTube is going to pick that up. Oh my, okay. Over here, it's very noticeable. Look at that. That can be pretty distracting, actually. And it even happens at 1440p. I wasn't expecting it to happen at 1440p, guys. 40s right here, not terrible, but I mean, it's far from perfect, right? Oh boy, there are so many better looking games that perform better as well. It's insane. Anyway, over here, okay, still in the 40s. I guess it's going to be 40 plus all of the time, which is decent. You know, comparing the native resolution experience in terms of visuals to this, you just get that added noise, which I'm not sure why it's there, again, because the modders did a better job of implementing the DLSS, I guess, than Bethesda did in months, but okay, okay, I don't care. At least they put it in the game, okay? Let's see DLSS balanced now, which is 58% resolution scale. It looks almost the same as quality, actually, with a bit more noise once again, a little bit more dots on the ground. But hey, I guess it's enough to put us at 60 FPS on average. So I'm just gonna run around once again, do the same thing, and see. Also, sorry about the screen tearing here as we get closer to the 60 FPS average experience, you know. It starts being more noticeable because of the capture card and the 60 Hertz on the capture card. I can't really use VRR on the capture card, even though it's the Elgato 4K 60 Pro Mark II, which has VRR, but it doesn't work, guys. Every time I use it, the footage is super stuttery. Not bad, once again, but it's still not 60 FPS experience on average. At least down here. Of course, if we go up there, it will get 60 plus, but hey. I kind of want to see what it takes in terms of upscaling to get 60 FPS down here. So let's try it on the performance, which again is 50% resolution scale and the default for medium or low settings in the game. Yeah, I'm 100% sure that the mod looked better than this. It's so weird, dude. And it's not even getting as much higher FPS at the moment. It's 60 once again, but it still drops. Let me see if it drops into the 40s still. It's a bit of a disappointment, you know. I was expecting a little bit higher improvements coming from the DLSS in this one. There's also a bit of noise over here. Not that distracting though, so I'll let it pass. The other one was worse for sure. And 54, 53. So not dropping into the 40s anymore. I guess with these settings you can get... How is my health low? Oh, okay. I'm just running out of stamina every single time and killing myself because of it. But yeah, it's gonna be 50 plus FPS experience all of the time. Over here it's pretty intensive once again, and it only dips down into the 50 FPS mark. So that's good. Okay, here we are. This is still with performance DLSS, guys. Things at the distance are looking okay. A bit noisy, but hey, it's not as noisy as other games, actually. It looks pretty decent even at the distance. And I'm using a 42-inch monitor as well. On a smaller monitor, it would look even better, of course. And of course, it gets us the... 60 plus FPS all of the time, which is quite nice. Yeah, look at that, 70 plus FPS all of the time. It's not really gonna drop anywhere else but in cities with performance DLSS at 1440p. But let's try it with quality now. I'm skipping balanced because it's just in between, basically. And right now it's getting 60s. So in some other planets, it will probably be a little bit more intensive, and there are other planets as well that don't have nothing in them, basically, and they will be a little bit less intensive as well. All right, lastly, I just want to check it out using 100% resolution scale, 1440p native, and that's not enough to reach 60 FPS. It still gets us 50-ish at times. Did they change the... I think they changed the native resolution look as well, because it used to be really soft, and now it's actually pretty sharp. Previously, it even looked better with FSR than 100% native resolution without any sharpening going on, because it was so soft. So it's a step in the right direction, but I think that is probably what introduced the little noise when we're using DLSS. Lastly, let's play at 4K resolution using the low settings this time around. I'm not going to go with the optimized settings because I believe optimized settings for a 3060 at 4K is low. Okay, so let's try this out. As you can see, at native resolution, it's just going to be impossible, guys. It gets very cinematic, actually, 24 FPS experience, but it still drops from it. So even if you are into movies and you just want to play games at 24 FPS for some reason, I've never known a person who prefers 24 FPS to everything else because of movies, but hey, it's what the movies run at. Yeah, this is terrible. It's not gonna happen. I mean, at least it doesn't stutter and VRAM is enough, but no, don't do this to yourselves, okay? Let's use DLSS on performance right away, see if it helps. Okay, and now we're getting 40s with similar visuals, actually. It's slightly softer, but it is not bad whatsoever. It's just... okay, yeah. On the reflections, look at that. It looks absolutely terrible, guys. Damn it, if it wasn't for that, it would actually look pretty decent, you know? Trees look decent as well. At least we can get a 40 plus FPS experience at 4K resolution with performance DLSS. It's not true 4K, it's 50% resolution scale, which means that it is 1080p internally, and then it upscales and adds sharpening and some trickery to make it look better. And indeed, it does make it look a lot better. I would be fine playing this game at 4K with performance DLSS. I'm not really seeing the noise anymore either over here, for example, so it must be a setting that was causing that. I still think that the performance don't justify the visuals, but hey, if you're okay with this, go ahead, it's playable for sure. Ultra performance DLSS, just want to see how it looks with 33% resolution scale. Yeah, you know what? This kind of looks like FSR looked on performance and 4K resolution when the game came out. Now it's been fixed, of course, and I think it looks better using FSR as well. But yeah, it's not really too far off. So it's still playable. It still looks okay. It's reasonable. You know what? Now I'm curious. FSR 2 on 50%. Let's try that out. It looks in between of like Ultra Performance DLSS and Performance DLSS, I think. I can see a little bit more softness and noise around the laser as well. And moving things, but it's definitely passable still, in my opinion. So we were seeing 47 FPS with FSR2 and 49 FPS with DLSS, both set to 50% resolution scale, and the DLSS looks slightly better. You know what? It's almost the same. The difference here is very, very minor, actually. All right, guys. So let's just check it out with Performance DLSS in the other planet. So apparently, you can actually get 60 to 70 frames per second in other planets, my friends. If they're not the most intensive planets in the game, you can expect a smooth experience. And see, this is probably why you see a lot of comments in my Starfield videos saying that the game runs absolutely fine for a lot of people. It's because they don't spend as long or as much time in city planets like Atlantis City, where the FPS are really, really low compared to other areas. If you just play around and explore the other 990 planets or whatever, it's gonna be very, very smooth, as you can see. Even at 4K with Performance DLSS, it's working pretty well. It dips sometimes into the 50s, but I don't think it's the end of the world. And overall, like, the textures, they still look really good, actually. That's been it for this one, my friends. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know what you thought about the performance of Starfield. I think it's a little bit better. It's also a little bit better looking at native resolution. But of course, we also used optimized settings compared to presets when the game came out. But yeah, we also got DLSS, which is great. And I would totally utilize it at 1440p and 4K. And if you're wondering if you should buy Starfield with 3060, go for it. I haven't played a ton of missions and so on, so I can't really comment on the story, but hey, I think a lot of people are enjoying it and have enjoyed it. So if this is your type of game, go ahead, feel free. Catch you in the next one very soon. Love you all. Bye-bye.